Welcome to another episode of The Rad Life. Today, I wanted to bring on a friend of mine who has been on the show before, Mr. Lee Goldberg Esquire, who is a very much a sought-after business attorney in Orange County. He is a good friend and a wealth of knowledge on things that you need to be aware of today. He's been on the show before. Last time he was on, we talked about AB5, which was a major change in the law when it comes to independent contractors, and a lot of businesses were seeking his advice relevant to that. He also has written recently on LinkedIn, and you can follow him at Lee Goldberg on LinkedIn, uh, about just the nature of what we're going through right now as far as the coronavirus impact on the economy, on business, what to expect, how to better shore yourself up for what's coming. And you really have kind of a choice in what you do today and how that basically translates to how you come out of this later. With that being said, Lee, welcome, my friend. I appreciate you being on. And let's give people just a very quick background on you, and let's just delve right into this.
Hey, Rob, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, Rob, my background, I've been in practice over 33 years as a transactional business lawyer. I spend most of my time right now as outside general counsel to a number of companies across strata of different industries and sectors. And yes, I do write from time to time on issues that affect businesses in general, not in any particular industry. And yes, AB5 in the state of California, currently California Labor Code 2750.5, is a new law in this state starting this year that did affect all business. So I wrote on that. Of course, this business slowdown affects all businesses, so I wrote on that also. So,
Well, Lee, and just to kind of to ask this question, for those who are thinking that that law is now sort of something they don't need to be concerned about, I think, and you'll lead into this, is that this is still in effect. And when things turn around and you're back into where you have an ongoing business and you're trying to meet your deliverables and growing your capacity and all this stuff, this is still something that will affect you, and the state is still looking for you to comply, correct?
that's correct. At the beginning of this year, I spent a lot of time with my current clients and a lot of new clients coming to me to analyze their business operations, to make sure that they are in compliance with the new 1099 contractor law, or if they weren't and couldn't, to restructure them to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Those laws have not changed. I think what's changed, however, is the appetite or the fervor at which the California governmental authorities are enforcing that right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think they have other exigencies that they're dealing with. So they're not, yeah, a little bit. So they're not addressing those right now, but don't think for a second they're not going to come back to that.
Mm-hmm.
So while a lot of that has slowed down, I frankly don't understand why that restructuring has slowed down now.
Mm-hmm.
Because now is the time when you have the capability to revisit your business strategies and your business plans, and not only address the issues that you have now,
Mm-hmm.
but address those business strategies and plans for when the dam bursts. And I'm telling you, people talk about the bubble bursting as a negative thing in the economy.
Yeah.
Well, the bubble is filling right now with water.
Right.
And all of that pent up demand and free amount of capital and free amount and availability of labor will explode onto the scene once we stop the societal and governmental regulations that are the only things holding it back right now. So if you're not planning for that right now, other people will, and you'll be left behind as a business.
And Lee, I do want to move the conversation in a minute here about, like, sort of the opportunities and why this may be a time that you should be considering this kind of growth mindset. Is with the labor situation, a lot of companies have laid off people or furloughed people, right? And some people may say that that was sort of kind of becoming in some degree or the other, as we were expecting, what was going to happen. Who knows what was going to happen with the economy? But the economy started with a huge huge on steroid situation at the beginning of this year. I mean, it was just going gangbusters, right?
Yes.
Now the fact that people have laid off people or furloughed people, to your point, I would think that right now, if they're thinking that the economy is coming back, they're going to have to hire people. So it's actually a clean slate, if you will, to put these things in place correctly, given what the current regulations are in the state of California. So that when
Well,
they,
if I may interrupt there, I do want to just address that issue about a clean slate.
yeah,
You have assets as a business.
yeah,
It shouldn't be a clean slate, and it doesn't have to be a clean slate. If you furloughed or lay off employees, if you are not in constant contact with those employees, if you are not helping those employees for services, if your HR as a business is not their one-stop shopping, go-to place to go get assistance and help and referrals for services, and maybe even helping them in some tangible manner, whether it's financial or otherwise.
yeah.
What happens when this economy explodes? You need people to work for you, and your employees thought you abandoned them. All right?
And their time of need right now, you abandoned them. You did not treat them with a certain thing. And I'll tell you, there are going to be a lot of other companies that look at those qualified people and are going to be willing to do all kinds of different things to get them, because the ability to wear multiple hats as we come out of this is going to be a sought after skill set. And if you have somebody who is in any capacity in your company, and I've seen good examples and bad examples of the last 10 days, to be honest with you, right? There's going to be that sense of loyalty that person is going to bring back to that company. You know, the value of that loyalty, the value of the ability to basically be there for you when you are just now, the dam has busted and now you need to build up that capacity. If you don't treat those people with a certain decorum and respect now, you will pay the price, and your brand will pay the price later.
Yes, I totally agree. And it takes very, very little in terms of expense and effort to make those employees, or allow those employees to understand that this is just a business issue and you're doing everything to take care of them and you want them back when they come back. Otherwise, what you've done is spent a lot of money training labor for your business that is going out the window to somebody else.
Very good point.
And then you're competing to bring somebody else back and then having to spend the money to train them again.
Yeah, these are people that know your business. These are people that know your business. These are people that are intimately aware and very quick to be able to get on and moving fast in your business, rather than bringing somebody in and training them.
Yeah, and this is just one part of the strategies that people right now have the opportunity to be using. To give you an example, what's another huge asset that you have in your business? Your clients, your customers, all right? Well, your clients and customers are getting killed just like you. If you are proactive and you reach out to them before they call you, and you can afford to give them a discount for quick payment, that helps both you and them. Cash is king right now. So you get a little less, but you have cash in your coffer. Your client appreciates your proactive addressing of his or her problems, right? There's other things you can do with your clients to make it a little easier for them. You can give them to better terms, your ongoing clients. I'm not saying do this with new clients, but ongoing clients, give them better terms, help them through this. I will tell you, just like everyone else and just like you, we will remember the people that worked with us and helped us during this time, and we will certainly remember the people that didn't. All right? Now's the time to shore up your relationships with your current clients. So when we go forward, somebody else out there is not stealing that client away and building their business on your back.
Well, because Lee, also we talked about this. There's also a smart business business decision associated with this. If you do this now too, if you are a business that has no doubt in their mind that at some point or the other, you are going to be back in business to the new normal versus maybe the old normal, but you're going to be back in business, and you're going to basically continue to build that business. Unless you are ready to shutter it down or basically call it quits or change industry or whatever, which is a horrible thing to do right now anyway, because you're basically at the lowest point of value to your company. Try selling your business now, right? So I think there's smarts there. The resources and the quality resources are more available today than they were maybe 6 months ago, because everybody was busy. You didn't have access to those, in my field, like the good contractors, the good design firms, the price point that you maybe, was competitive, because everybody was busy. It was a finite resource, if not a scarce resource. Now you have the ability to make those decisions and possibly benefit from better terms, better relationships, to your point, right? And even today, not even down the road, people may be grabbing your clients today.
Yeah, I will tell you, I'll give you another example of exactly what you're talking about, Rod. I happen to believe I've been through these downturns a number of times. Like I said, 33 years of practice as a professional guiding my clients through it. Not only do we as general counsel out there have to guide our clients through all the emergency and exigencies of the situation, all right? But it's up to us to help our clients keep focused on what's coming down the road, all right, when this explodes. To give you an example of exactly what you're talking about, of the scarcities that businesses will face once business explodes on the scene again, is marketing, all right? I'm not talking about marketing in today's world and, being one of those jerks that are giving somebody a great deal for buying it only when they're in quarantine. Okay, I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is using this time to re-identify who your target market actually is. Identify how you're going to go out and get them. Identify not only what that target market is right now, but when business explodes, how you're going to get a bigger market share for your company and yourself, and how you're going to be visible before everyone else who's looking to do that. If you do that now, you will have two benefits. Actually, you'll have three benefits. Benefit number one is certainly you'll be up, running, you will have prepared whatever videos you need, you will have prepared whatever ad copy you need, you will have prepared your dissemination of that stuff all ready to go when the time is right, and your competitors are still figuring out how to advertise. You will be in the market, and you will be in the public view in the market, all right? That's number one. Number two, the second thing is exactly like you just said, okay? When business explodes, all the top advertising, marketing, production execs, all of those people are going to be tied up.
Or out of reach on their price point.
And that was the third benefit, because once they got tied up, the only way to get their attention is to pay them more than the other guy.
Yep.
Okay? So those three benefits of doing it right now, while you have the time and the capability, go do it. And by the way,
go ahead.
By the way, I just want to add to this.
Yeah.
People are probably sitting there thinking, oh yeah, where do I get the money to do all the stuff that he's talking about? Retrench, go out, replan, and do all these things. Ladies and gentlemen, this economy is not slow because of tight capital markets. Okay, well, there's plenty of money out there, including all of these new government loans / grants, which if you qualify are absolutely amazing. You're a fool if you don't apply, if you qualify. So these are the things that you need to be doing. You need to be proactive.
Well, let me add another thing too here is we have an opportunity right now because you have a captive audience. You literally have a captive audience. I mean, I have seen it in numbers of viewers on this show just in the last 14 days, right? You have a captive audience. If the quality of your content, whether it's your messaging, your marketing, whatever it is, right? What your company stands for, your DNA that you're putting out there, you have a captive audience. Now that's a good thing and a bad thing. Because when you got attention on you, or you're saying, hey, look at me, you better make sure that what you're telling people to look at is something that is not only in keeping with your brand, which used to be maybe what your only concern was, that you weren't diluting your brand. But no, now it has to be also There's a certain level of empathy. There's a certain level of humility. There's a certain level of not to basically take sides one way or the other on the political divide, but like I feel your pain has to kind of come out a little bit, right? And I think that is an opportunity. And now, especially if it's authentic and not because people are right now are so heightened in smelling the BS that you cannot basically put out a message that is not authentic, in my opinion. And it has to be genuine. And if you'd use that as a tool to get attention, whereas before there was so much noise in your sector that you were competing for attention, you now have actually kind of a bit more of a leveling of the playing fields. I saw something the other day where they were predicting of some of the outcomes of this whole thing is the economy would be more equitable. And I read through that, and it wasn't so much on the financial side, but it was that you had a bit more of a competitive ability to compete. Right now, if you establish and you seed the field with that, people are more likely to pay attention to you because there's not a lot more other noise going on around.
Yeah, you know what? To that point, look. This is just opinion based, okay? And this
It's a
is
good opinion, man. You really have a clean mind, and I appreciate your opinion. So lay it on me.
Thank you. Well, I got to tell you something. In my opinion, during this time, operating. I'm not talking about the future, but operating during this time.
Mm-hmm.
I happen to believe that people and businesses appreciate other businesses and other people giving value and not asking for anything and not selling them anything.
Right.
All right?
Right.
It's part of the reason why I write my articles out there, okay? You turn around and you say, hey, look, I'm not asking you for anything right now. We're going through some crazy times, but maybe this will help. Or maybe you reach out to your clients, your associates, your business relations and say, how you doing? I know this stuff is touchy-feely and business psychology. I get it all, but this is all important too, all right? Two, because you have to pay attention to your business principles right now. This is the most important thing right now. Go back to your written
mission,
strategic business plan. Assess it, value it, go after it. Look, if your business was bursting at the seams before this slowdown, now is the time to consider expansion of capacity or capability. Mm-hmm. Now is the time to consider if you're going to vertically integrate your production. Mm-hmm. Now's the time to consider taking over businesses or acquiring new businesses that may be in the market to meet that capacity or to get into it. It won't close before business explodes, but to meet that capacity, identify those companies and go down the road and do that. I will tell you right now, a lot of people are running scared. This may be, as is every business downturn, this is an amazing opportunity mm-hmm. for the bold and well-funded. Mm-hmm. Okay? Mm-hmm. Because lots of companies are looking, this is making a lot of business owners thinking about business, this is just too tough. I'm not going to worry, I'm not going to come back. So you may actually be able to get businesses at a discounted value. So again, these are the times you may be able to get real estate for production for your company at a discounted value at this.
Negotiate terms for lease terms or what have you. I mean, have you noticed like and again, it goes back to that. I had a gentleman by the name of John Warner on last week, and we were talking about growth mindset versus non-growth mindset. And, you know, there are people that we always talk about entrepreneurship spirit and sort of that's a sense of hustle and people just have it. And it's not that it cannot be learned, but, and this is again, an opportunity to really just immerse in that because, you know, you should be saying, why not right now? Not, no, I can't. You should be saying, why not right now? Because the cost of actually saying why not and have it not work right now is a lot less, to be honest, as well. Than when everything is just very expensive. Right now, if you say why not and you do something and you find out in 2 days that isn't going to work, it didn't cost you anything. It didn't cost you time because you didn't have to take that away from your business or what else you were doing. So So he was talking about this growth mindset, and I have seen examples of this in industry after industry in the last 10 days, Lee. I'm sure you have too, where similar operators in the same industry, one looks at their inventory and their stock room and turns it into a membership program. And the other one who basically says, if I don't get my stimulus package, then I basically am done. And sitting for, for 4 days or 5 days to try to get their bank to basically say, yes, it's time for you to apply. I think, to your point, right now is when you shouldn't be running scared. Yes, you should give yourself the chance to be impacted by this, do whatever you need to do to get past it, but you really need to get your head in the game.
That is just a real, again, I say this is my saying, Rod. I'm sorry. I know I have a lot of sayings, but this is one of my sayings.
Go ahead.
One of my sayings is that fortune favors the bold. Mm-hmm. All right. I believe that. Now is the time for the bold. And now is the time for bold action. Now's the time even though we're all scared. I mean, we are, mm-hmm. is to push through that. Unfortunately, not unfortunately, I love the guy. Bob Marley has a quote that is really an amazing quote, and I can only paraphrase because it's coming off the top of my head right now, but that is, you don't know how strong you are until your strength is all you got left. Mm-hmm. Okay? I really believe in that. Mm-hmm. I step up. That you can live and wallow in the negative, and that's fine. The bold will take advantage of you.
Well, and I think it's important to also say that, it's only human. It's understandable that you'd be hit blindsided. We all are to certain degrees, but how quickly you can actually not ignore the fact that you're going through adversity and right. difficulty, right. but also look at another aspect of what's going on. The quicker you can get your mindset in a different space, the more likely you are to find something. And it may have to be exactly down the same line of the business that you've been doing, or it could be a complete departure, or it yes. could be an offshoot of that business that you never even anticipated. I mean, we're almost close to Easter, and I had a guy on with his wife who basically they did Easter hunts and Christmas. It was very seasonal business, right? And they had contracts ready to basically do these Easter hunts in the physical world until social distancing and physical distancing went into effect. And overnight, they lost their contracts. Okay? So they basically were really kind of stressing out. And within 48 hours, they basically came up with the idea of actually having you take a picture of your kid against a white sheet in your home, send it to them, and they'll Photoshop your kid in with the Easter bunny on the stages they had made already for those Easter hunts, right? And they tied in with a company that basically had access to 30 malls, and I had to get them off the show in a certain time limit because they had way too much work.
Well, you see, and that is a perfect example of addressing the exigency now. Now, to give you another example, to take that one step further, if they, in addition to that, expanded their business to move in that direction in the future and put a business plan together where you have both capabilities on event planning, both a remote event plan right. and some other business, then that's the next step talking about.
That's exactly what they're doing, Lee, because and out of necessity came an offshoot of their business right. that in fact now they are no longer just Christmas and Easter. Now it's the website's called Picture Me Bunny. Okay. But Picture Me Bunny now is going to be Picture Me Mother's Day, Picture Me Hanukkah, Picture Me Kwanzaa. I mean, it's all these things. And now they're looking at how do we basically put operated photo booths at malls. So where you can actually go in there and take your own photo and it automatically sends it to them. That is an absolutely wonderful example of what we have been talking about for a half an hour. That is a wonderful example. This is a client of yours? Great counseling of that client, if that's what you've been counseling them with. This is wonderful. You have to address the current problems you have. You have to.
or you disappear.
You know, Lee, just
But if you don't address
yeah.
what the future holds, then all you'll be left with when the future comes is your current addressing of the problems. That's it.
Well, and to your point that, you know, you said those who are bold and well-funded. I would argue that the bold comes first because for a good reason. Because right now, well-funded could be that you qualify for those loans.
Right. The bold will find a way to get funded.
Exactly. Bold is more important, actually, because
Yes.
funding will find you, especially now. Again, it goes back to this thing. You had 100 people all screaming from different stages saying, pay attention to me, pay attention to me. Half of those right now are basically in a corner, in a fetal position, rocking into a happy place, right? Trying to go back to a happy place. So 50% of your competition right now is not active. So if you are if you are the person basically now with a very refined message that's empathetic, that is accurate, that is timely, that is basically also considerate of other people and what they're going through, and you're feeling their pain, marketing basically, if you want to term it that, right? Right now is a time when you have an edge that you didn't have 6 months ago, if you can get your head into that space.
That's right. And that edge is just from human nature. You know that there's going to be a large percentage that fall in the shelter in place.
Yeah.
And if we're not in the shelter in place just by common sense, you are moving ahead of your competition. So when that business comes back, you will capture a bigger market share than they will. Certainly at the beginning, and then your efforts are to maintain and grow that market share from there.
By the way, Lee, just to kind of wrap up the thing about the bunny, and I mean, it's kind of funny to keep going back to the bunny, but here's another side thing that happened. Because of the fact that they now have an inundation of orders, okay? They now have the ability to, and they have done this, they actually went out and contracted with graphic artists far and wide to fill the orders. So those graphic artists have even been furloughed, some of them maybe have been self-employed, whatever it is, but there's labor force there that also basically benefited from them being bold and taking a different direction. It wasn't just them, there was a trickle effect of benefit across the whole thing, including labor capacity.
I was just about to ask you if you're bringing out trickle-down economics out of the 1980s. That's what
I think the thing does not work, really, honestly, right? I mean, really, right? But this is actually the human benefit, like them coming up, having 1 or 2 nights of insomnia, figuring out what they needed to do, doing something based on whatever assets they literally had, which is these stages that they had built for these Easter huts that they now cannot put on, right? Somebody put themselves in an Easter bunny suit. They had a couple of vignettes and they said, take a picture of your kid and send it to me. That led to God knows how many graphic artists now also being employed by them to fill the order.
That's called the economy, brother. That's how it works.
Yep. So with that being said, my friend, I appreciate you taking the time. I promised you I'd keep it to about half an hour. So I appreciate you taking the time. I am sure I will have you back on. This is not going away anytime soon. We're probably looking at about 60 to 90 days, maybe by the fall. But, it's going to be important. And I think the fact, if anything, if you want to just distill it down to 1 or 2 points, as we call it, as we end this, and then also give people the ability to get hold of you, what should people really be, like 2 or 3 things that they should be doing right now?
Well, I will be general because there's a lot of little things, but here's the 2 or 3 things. Stay positive, be a business person and be proactive, and plan for what will be an explosive economy, at least starting in the next 6 months.
How do they get hold of you, Lee?
They can reach me at Ford and Dulio. That's DIULIO. My email is lgoldberg. That's GOLDBERG at Ford Dulio. FORDDIULIO.com.
Shout out to our friends Brendan and Christopher at that firm too. So
Brendan and Christopher, Ford and Dulio. Yes.
My friend, thank you so much.
All right,
Thank
thank you. I appreciate it.
I appreciate the positive message, and always good to have your company for as much time as I can. So you have a great day. I'm sure I'll see you soon, and we will be having Lee back on, I am sure, before this is all over. Thank you, buddy. You take care.
Thank you, Rod. You have a great day, my
You
friend.
too. Bye-bye.